having things in that public record is really helpful because it's out there for everybody to see. If there's a change of trustee in a trust, meaning someone's incapacitated, someone else has stepped in, then there's an affidavit of change of trustee that then is recorded. And so it also is just one extra level of protection against bad actors.
Be the change you want to see. Make a difference by giving your money a purpose, a mission to do good. Welcome to Money with Mission, where we show you how to create passive income so that you have options for how to work and how to live your life while leaving a legacy of positive social impact.
Okay, you guys, we are here today with Elizabeth Trest and Johnny Nitty Trest and Associates, a trust law firm. And you guys are probably wondering, thinking, trust, we know this or we don't know this. What do I need to know about that? We're about to find out. I went to their website and there's so many different kinds of trusts. We're going to stick with some basic stuff, I think, unless we happen to wander off that way. You know how I am. I just start talking. So thank you for coming, Elizabeth and Johnny. I really appreciate it.
It's our pleasure. We're honored to be here with you today and look forward to chatting with you.
I love it. Okay, so you guys, I kind of like to start talking really more basic than not even into your trust, but talking about money and what your money story is and how did you come to think about money from your beginning to how you think about money now. Either one of you can go first.
I'll take this one, Johnny. So when we're talking about money and finances, when I first started my firm, I have two firms. One firm, Trest Law, I started that 10 years ago. And honestly, I was thinking about money as in hoping to make some because it's very difficult to start a business. And I did not have capital investment. You don't really need that sometimes when you start a law firm. And so when I was thinking about the financing, I looked at it very differently. It was more of a kind of startup growth analysis that I was doing and it kind of looking at it that way. Now, all of these years later, I look at finances a lot differently. I look at long-term regarding retirement. I look at it self-sustainability. I look at it in regard to all of my employees, being able to grow them so that then they become self-sustaining and be able to grow their own wealth through the practice. It's changed quite a bit over time. And I think that common when you're talking about finances, whether you have them or whether you don't, what stage you are in your own personal growth, I think your viewpoint of it dramatically changes.
Yes. I appreciate that. From I'm starting my business and I just want to make some to now I've got to sustain it and sustain a bunch of other people who are depending on me. Very, very different ways to think about it. Interesting. When you started your firm, did you worry about it? How did you come to I can start this firm and I'm going to be okay?
I have always lived below my means. Yes, I was concerned, obviously, but I wasn't trying to support a certain type of lifestyle. We were paying our bills and feeding ourselves and all those types of things. My goal was that I wasn't out there starting this business in order to grow a substantial amount of wealth. It was more, I want to start this business. I want to be successful. I want it to be quality and I want to feel good about it.
Got it. Johnny, you can tell us your money story.
Yeah, my money story is always changing. And, I really enjoy what we do, what I do personally here, helping people start their businesses and make sure that their finances are in order with the different trusts that we set up. And, from my day to day, helping different clients start their businesses and helping them raise money for their businesses, you really see the value of it. And for someone like Elizabeth, who's an amazing entrepreneur, to create what she has with, like she was saying, little money to get started compared to where we are 10 years later, it's really amazing. And so when I help these people start their businesses with little capital and, they're trying to raise, millions of dollars and some of them are successful, some of them aren't. And, it really just helps shape the power and the value of money beyond just, paying your bills and supporting your family. It's just a way of creating the life that you want. And, my view of it has shifted since becoming an attorney a few years ago, because I understand, obviously, number one, not everyone has the same amount or has the access to obtain the same amount, but you really see how someone who can really build and create these opportunities, especially for other people, and how much value they bring and how their life becomes an abundance of wealth, not just with money.
Got it. In your personal money story, do you feel like money is abundant, or did you worry more about having enough? Or I know that probably changed too over time. It's like,
Yeah, I still feel like I'm on my ascending arc, I will say.
okay.
I'm definitely not comfortable where I am. I just got married recently the last month. And so, paying for all those expenses, and we're about to head off on our honeymoon next week. It's definitely something that I worry about. And so, I still feel like I'm on that ascension, and I really am proud and happy of the person I am and the person I'm becoming.
Mhm.
And I know that money will be a lot less stressful in the next couple of years than it has the past few years. Let's just put it that way.
Okay. I have so many more questions around that, but we'll move forward on money can be stressful whether you have a lot or you don't have any. And it's
Mhm.
kind of more how we end up thinking about money in general as to whether you have a lot and you're worried, or you don't have the not very much and you're worried. Is how you look at the whole picture of money. Well, let me ask you this. Do only people with money need trusts and those kinds of protections?
No, everybody needs a trust. If you own any kind of property, okay, so I'm going to give you a few reasons why someone would need a trust. So if you own any kind of real property, you're going to want that to be held in a trust because you want to avoid the probate process. The
Okay.
probate process is expensive. It is public. All of your information is in the register of actions with the court, and you lose a certain level of control over the administration and when you pass away, and potentially where your assets are going to go. A trust is critical for capacity planning. So when you put your assets into a trust, and we're talking about a revocable living trust, meaning change it or amend it during your life. When you put your assets into this trust, not only are you choosing who you want to manage things if you can't, right? And you're appointing that person through this actual legal document, and you're putting your assets in there so they can control those. But you're also putting in there what you want to happen if you do become incapacitated. Now, you're living a lot longer these days. It is very likely that a much greater number of people are going to live with a level of incapacity than in years past.
Mhm.
Incapacity meaning dementia, Alzheimer's, potentially Parkinson's, maybe in an accident, maybe stroke. I mean, there are lots of things where people still live, they still have a fulfilling life, but they've lost the ability to manage their own financial affairs.
Uh-huh.
If you don't have documents established to appoint somebody to manage these things, if you can't, okay, through a trust, power of attorney, advanced healthcare directive, then someone has to go to court because no one has that legal authority to step in and manage those things for you. Who's going to pay your bills? Who's going to make sure you stay in your home? Who's going to make sure you have insurance? That you're getting your notices. We've all heard about the nightmare stories where a notice is given on non-renewal or non-payment or something for life insurance. Someone's already started to lose a little bit of their cognitive abilities. They didn't see it. They didn't notice the payment isn't made. And then boom,
Yeah.
gone.
Yeah.
So a trust, now, as you have varying levels of finances. So, I mean, I have gone through periods in my life where I had literally nothing. And I still had these documents in place because I'm a human being and I'm alive and I need to have these things in place. As you build your wealth, as you build, and whatever that means, whether that's 50,000, 500,000, 5 million, who knows? It's all relative, right?
Yeah. Yeah.
So as you build, you're looking at not only the type of trust that you have, you're also doing tax planning. This is all integral to this. Where you want your assets to go. Are you charitably inclined? So everyone needs to have these types of documents.
Okay. So the first thing you said is yes, everyone, if you have real property. So is real property real estate? Is real property a car? Is real property what qualifies as real property?
Yes. In that, I'm talking about a piece of land or home or the combo of two where there is a deed.
Okay.
That deed is going to have to be transferred. There's going to have to be some kind of transfer of that. And by placing that into a trust, that facilitates that transfer. Also having a trust and when you have real property and there's a trustee of your trust, it's recorded, that deed is recorded in the county where you reside and where that property is.
Mm-hmm.
So elder abuse is rampant these days.
Mm-hmm.
And sometimes there are fraudulent transfers. There are forged signatures. Having things in that public record is really helpful because it's out there for everybody to see. If there's a change of trustee in a trust, meaning someone's incapacitated, someone else has stepped in, then there's an affidavit of change of trustee that then is recorded. And so it also is just one extra level of protection against bad actors.
Okay. So I think we figured everybody who has anything needs a trust. And the sooner you get it, the better, because I started thinking, but how do you know? Because you talk about this person's a little bit of cognitive deficiency. They didn't really notice. And if you're not there every day, you might not even notice as their child or you just don't notice that they're not thinking quite as well. Yeah, you notice the mail stacking up, but you don't notice that. So the sooner, the better you can get those things all lined up so that once those kind of things start happening, it's not a mom thinks you're trying to take her stuff or dad thinks you're trying to take his stuff. It's more, this has already been planned and this is how this is going to happen.
Yes, that does bring up another very important issue, though, is how do you determine incapacity? So say you do have a trust. Say, I trust. I'm getting older. I'm still loving life, but maybe things are falling. I'm falling down, right, on the job. I'm not really paying my bills. I'm forgetting things. Who's noticing? Not me. I think I'm doing great.
Yep.
So who is in contact with me? Who's watching out for me? Who's checking in? Because it's at that point, you need to have that safety net of essentially, okay, who's watching out for me? That's why some people who don't have family members that are close or don't have family members that they can put in those roles choose private fiduciaries. And the job is to manage things in this type of circumstance. You also can have, when you're in your trust document, how the process in which you're going to be deemed incapacitated is done.
Okay.
Just 2 treating physicians. Is it a disability panel that includes a treating physician, your best friend, and your sister? And that's a whole other conversation. But these are just tidbits that you want to.
Yeah. I never thought about that one. Who's going to decide? Wow. Okay.
Mm-hmm.
Let's switch a little bit to Johnny. You do more on the business side. So I have a lot of people coming into Money with Mission Wealth Builders who they want to invest in real estate, but don't really think they need a business. They want to do it in their own name. I mean, I can give them all the information why that makes no sense at all and why that's not a good idea, but maybe hearing from Johnny as to why that's not a good idea would get them to hear it a little better sometimes.
Yeah, absolutely. And, that's one of the biggest things that people come to me for, right? Especially because of real estate. And sometimes it can be a high liability with different renters and whatever is happening on the property. And so you have that liability. And so what you want to do is you want to separate that liability from yourself and limit it as much as possible. And the easiest way to do that is to create these sort of entities, limited liability companies, LLCs, or corporations. And people always ask, if I'm buying a property and the other people have an LLC and they're interested in LLC, so I don't have to have my interest in an LLC, right? No, they're doing what they're supposed to be doing. You should be doing what you're supposed to be doing. They're protecting themselves and you should be protecting yourself.
Yes. So do you need an LLC and a trust? How do those things work together?
Absolutely. So the LLC would be what owns the property, and everything that owns all of your LLCs, the line at the top should always be your living trust, right? Your revocable living trust. And so you should have that trust in place. And then whatever you put underneath it, any LLCs you have, any sort of accounts, whatever it might be, should all be titled into the name of the trust. And so a lot of people come to us and they say, I need to set up a trust, but I want to create an LLC and I'm not really sure how to do it. Who should own what? Should I own the LLC? Should the trust own it? And so that's why speaking with people like Elizabeth and myself can really bring clarity to those questions. And at the end of the day, you want to have a trust, right? That's kind of the owner of everything. And then underneath it, you're going to have that LLC.
Okay.
I just want to add something. So this is what we're talking about now when we're focusing on this. What Johnny's talking about is essentially succession, planning, avoiding probate, those types of things. Asset protection or a protection against creditors is a completely different conversation that we would address in a different way with that goal in mind. Those assets we're not going to put under necessarily a revocable living trust. That's a separate conversation and a separate topic when you're talking about essentially asset protection. But I also want to add one huge part of what Johnny focuses on for people is keeping that corporate veil, right? You're creating these businesses in order to separate some liability.
Right.
That goes so far when you don't keep it up. So you have to have your corporate compliance up to date. Whatever that looks like for you, whatever type of entity you have, this is where I see the most issue and the most people falling down on the job, because it's very easy to forget. And you think, oh, well, it's just me, so why do I need to do these meeting minutes? Or what? Well, no, it's not just you. The whole point is you're trying to make it not just you. You're trying to separate this from you. And so that's something that Johnny really focuses on with people is, hey, great, we did this. Now don't mess it up. Let's make sure that we're doing what we're supposed to do. And a lot of people, it's better to hire a professional to do it. It's not very costly. And they make sure that it's done every year.
I'm going to say it's 100% necessary to hire a professional to do it because it's too easy to forget.
Yes.
I sit and worry about, and I got professionals doing some of it is like, I'm going to be talking to you guys because it's you get into worse. I'm like, is it right? Did I do this right? Can be a lot. And you start getting more than one LLC and it can become quite the mess. I 100% recommend not doing it yourself. And I know there's so many people out there who think the money is too much. It costs too much. I can do this. It's not that big of a deal. It's not a big deal unless something happens. If something happens, it's a very big deal. And now it's that LLC and all that stuff you did is worthless. Mm-hmm. So cost versus value. Just always remember that. How much does it cost and how much is it worth? Just have it done right.
That's right. 100%.
I got to call you guys. Anyway.
Well, maybe you're interested in hearing that we've actually created, a business compliance program for people just like you who maybe have multiple LLCs and they want to make sure they're doing things correctly. And, it's sort of an annual program that you can enter and we really take care of everything for you. So you just have that peace of mind.
Perfect. I think what's happened for me is that I had one attorney group forming all my LLCs. And then I got an accounting group had an attorney that they started forming some and they're doing them differently. And I'm just a little mixed up on what's happening. So I think, again, having everything with one group can be really beneficial because they keep track of you and know what's going on. Okay. Sorry, I didn't mean to get personal, you guys, but just so you know. Stuff.
That's how relative it is to everybody that's listening.
It's real. This is real stuff. Okay. So Revocable Living Trust is the one that you can change as you go along. Like you get mad at your brother and don't want him to be your, okay, getting rid of you. I went to your website. There's trust for everything. Let me ask you this. We talked about probate. We talked about, keeping your stuff out of probate because of the length and it becomes open to everybody. Trust to me also seems to be a way to kind of mitigate some of the tax ramifications of your death and of some things that happen. Do I have that right?
It can be. A revocable living trust is not going to help you tax-wise because a revocable living trust, you still technically own it, right? So this is still you. It's under your social security number. Mm-hmm. There are different types of trusts that are established to help with estate taxes, which are taxes that are due upon your death, depending on the value of your estate.
Okay.
Now, the estate tax exemption is incredibly high, over 12 million, almost 13 million.
Okay.
It's going to sunset on the last day of 2025. So the first day of 2026, January 1st, it is sunsetting and it is being cut in half. And so that exemption amount is much less. When you have an irrevocable trust, if drafted properly for the point of securing the fair market value of assets at the current time that you place them into this irrevocable trust. So say you have a highly appreciating asset. Say right now it's let's just 500,000 or something, right?
Okay.
Place it into an irrevocable trust. The value at your death for estate tax purposes is going to be the 500,000. Even if a highly appreciating asset appreciates up to 10 million.
Okay.
And so different tax planning concepts and structures that are used not only for estate taxes, there are lots of charitable trusts that greatly help when it comes to taxes. There's a variety of different ways that you can structure things that address income taxes and estate taxes.
Okay. So a charitable trust is, I'm not sure I know what that is. So I want to make sure.
Oh yeah, there's a variety. Some ways people refer to them are CRUTs or CRATs. These are different trusts that are established. The way that they generally function is you are making a gift of either an asset or funds to an irrevocable trust that will then benefit that charity.
Okay.
You can still benefit from it during your lifetime, either through certain annuity payments. There are different ways to structure it. Generally, they're structured over a period of years, maybe 10 years, maybe 20 years, where the assets go into the trust. You can still benefit by receiving certain distributions. The usual way is that then when you pass or when that term is done, it transfers then to the charity. But these vary widely depending on what you want for how you are structuring your plan. So it's essentially a trust made for the benefit of a charity.
Got it. For all of these things, this is not a legal Zoom kind of thing to go and do. This is, you want to talk to somebody who understands what your goal is, what you're working to do so that you get the right thing set up. I just want to make sure everybody's like, don't go try to cheap it out and legal Zoom it, because Elizabeth, if you're not watching, she's about to throw up thinking about it.
Just don't. I honestly, my firm Trust Law, we do a huge portion of trust and probate litigation. Okay. So Trust Day and Associates is what we're kind of functioning under and talking to you about right now. My other firm does a huge amount of trust and probate litigation. And those trusts, because they are not customized to your specific circumstance, they are often very ambiguous. They leave out very important portions of a trust that really should be addressed depending on your certain circumstances. And so they are litigated oftentimes because sometimes there's not another choice because it's not addressed. So the trustee has no direction. Other times it doesn't make any sense for the certain circumstance that the person had, because trust laws vary. We have a huge probate code. This is not, you don't just instinctually know this. You have to practice it and understand it in order to craft these documents in a way that are going to hold up and reach what you need. So please don't do it yourself.
So the questionnaire on LegalZoom is not good enough. I think that's clear, you guys.
Nothing against LegalZoom. This is nothing against
LegalZoom. Nothing. No.
I would just say, don't do it yourself. Use a professional.
Again, I'm not against LegalZoom at all either, but have somebody help you, bottom line. To have somebody, a person to talk to. If not for anything else, if you start having questions about it later on, well, who do you talk to? If you don't even know, how do I do this? What do I do with that? How do I make that? Just know upfront who you're talking to. Johnny, you were talking about helping or talking about business people raising money, and how do you guys work with that? How does that fit into your practice? Let's ask it that way.
Yeah, it's very interesting. You know, I love working with entrepreneurs. It's my favorite thing in the world to do. You know, I love working with people like you because you really bring so much value to the world, right? And the best entrepreneurs, in my opinion, are the ones that don't just steal someone else's idea and try to take their customers, right? They really try to build something new and bring value. And how the money relates to it and how our trusts relate to what we do is, you know, when I'm raising money for people, well, you know, let's just take, you know, one of my recent cases here. You know, they're raising millions of dollars and they have multiple investors, and the investors are asking me, you know, how should I hold my interests? Should we all join one LLC and join together, and then that way we can all be together and then it's only one owner? Or should we all do it separately? Should we all have our own separate LLCs? Should we all put everything into our own trust? Right. Mm-hmm. And so most people, even at the highest level, people investing millions of dollars in these companies, people that are successful 10 times over, they still don't fully understand what's best. And so as it relates to raising money and what we do, I always advise it should at least be held in your trust, right? Your revocable living trust, if not in one of your LLCs that you're investing in.
I want to clarify, we do not help people raise money.
That's what I was about to ask that.
We are not indicators.
No.
We're not regulated. We do not have any kind of part in that.
Yeah, we're not a broker by any means, but we do structure the corporations to allow for investors. We're not outside seeking investment. We're not requesting or bringing investors to these companies, right? They find them all on their own, but we do the back end paperwork.
So if an investor, let's say I want to, is this mostly for real estate or could it be any kind of business at all? If I'm just raising capital to run my wealth builders?
Yeah, any business.
Okay. And so let's say it's a real estate deal and then I have investors who want to invest, but they're not sure how to invest, not about how to put the money in, but what entity, if they should be an entity, that kind of thing. You would be somebody they could talk to about that.
Yeah, absolutely. And it's hard to give sort of a blanket answer of what's best for everybody, right? Because everyone's situation is different. Some people have entities set up for their investments and some people don't. And so it's definitely something that, we can opine on.
So the bottom, I think what I heard is that there's not a right answer for everything. Individuals are different and what you have in your life makes a difference. Again, going online and doing it with an online program, I won't call it again. That's terrible. I feel bad now.
No, it's all good. Everyone thinks that there's an easy way to do it.
We'll call it Rocket Lawyer this time. We'll call them all out. Okay.
Yeah.
Bottom line is you should talk to somebody who can hear what you're saying and ask you the questions that need to be asked, because sometimes you go talk to people and they just do what you tell them to do without asking you the questions that need to be asked. And then you find out that wasn't what you needed at all. And Elizabeth and Johnny are the people that are going to be that person. It's like going to your doctor and they tell you need surgery and they don't tell you all the risks and things of that surgery. It's like, or your patient comes to you and says, hey, I want my knee replaced. And you say, okay, without any other conversation. That's not the right thing to do. Just like going to an attorney or going to a site and putting in and saying, I want a trust, and it gives you one. That doesn't even make any sense, you guys. So what I'm getting at, again, is cost versus value. Get somebody to help you. Get somebody good to help you. And I've had not good people helping me with things that I then came to Trust Day, and I had Kevin, who's not here, look at my stuff. He goes, yeah, we can make this a little bit better. He was so kind. He was so kind. We can do this a little bit better. And I was like, let's fix it.
Yes.
So it's really good. It's good. Even if you already have a trust. So let me ask you, do you have a recommendation? I already have a trust. I don't need to listen to this. I'm already got my stuff together. What do you think about that?
Your trust? Do you know how it's written? Do you know what happens? How your trustees removed? Can they make lifetime gifts for you? Where is your stuff going? Is your schedule of assets up to date? How long ago was it? Does it include all of the laws that have changed over the past time? I mean, you should have it reviewed. You need to look at it at least every 5 years.
Every 5? Okay. And we just did that with my dad's trust. A whole bunch of stuff was happening in his life. And we all of a sudden had this stuff like, oh my gosh, we couldn't even find half the stuff that was in there before. And important to have it looked at every 5 years. I didn't think about that. Every 5 years. Okay.
Yeah. Of course, if you have a life change, contact whoever drafted your trust so that you can have it updated. So if you have a new child or if there's been a falling out or you need something amended, something like that. But on the whole, you want to address it every 5 years.
So how would you suggest that people remember that they have a trust? Yes, I have a trust, but I have a trust and I just bought a house. I have a trust and I just did whatever financial thing I did to make sure that everything stays tight. What's the best way to do that?
So there are different types. There's a variety. If you could ask your attorney to check in with you every year or so, hey, do you have any life changes? You can calendar it yourself on your own personal calendar. Hey, think about my, January 1st. Well, no one wants to do that on January 1st. That January calendar it. This is what I'm going to be looking at. Think about this. Do I have new assets? Put it in your calendar. We offer compliance programs. There are compliance programs where we check in and we make sure, okay, is everything still funded? Did you take anything out of the trust? If so, we need to get it back into the trust. Have there been any life changes so that you make sure that those things are kept up to date?
Right. Okay. Okay. So, I mean, it's not complicated, but it's complicated. It's a matter of, you got to remember that you have this thing and not just do it and put it in your safe or your safe deposit box and forget about it because it's not done. How many, we talked earlier about different parts of a living revocable trust. What parts are those? You kind of mentioned the different steps in that. You kind of, I think,
It's an estate plan. And so your general estate plan that addresses your financial and physical and medical life while you're alive and then after you pass. You have a revocable living trust. You have what's called a pour over will, which takes all of the assets that don't have a deed or title, your personal property, things like that,
Mhm.
pour them over into your trust so that they're distributed per the terms of your trust.
okay.
Power of attorney. Generally, it's going to be a durable power of attorney because it survives your incapacity, which is really when you really need it.
Yeah.
You have a whole financial life that's not in your trust. You have taxes that need to be paid. You have insurance. You have all of those types of things. That's a power of attorney.
Okay.
It's either going to be called a living will, a healthcare directive. There are lots of different, depending on what state you live in. We call it an advanced healthcare directive. And this is where you are appointing people to make medical decisions for you when you can't do it yourself.
Okay.
And certain options in there, certain things that are important to you. Do you want to be an organ donor? If so, do you want it to be for research? Maybe not. Maybe you just want it to be for something else, specifying, right?
Yeah.
Also, do you want to be buried or cremated? Where? Being specific in those types of things takes the pressure and the stress as much as possible off of your family members because being in that role is incredibly difficult. Having to second guess, think back to 25, 30, 40 years ago. Well, I think they said they might want to be, but
Yeah. It's not fun.
no, being specific is the best gift that you can give to your loved ones. And that's the package. A couple ancillaries, certification of trust, a general assignment, those things. That's the basic package that people are looking at, and that is the base documents that you need.
Got it. And just, I think that's been implied, but I want to just clarify. You can have more than one trust, and there are different kinds of trust that you have.
Oh, yes.
You can have more, or can you have more than one living revocable trust, or you should only have one, and then you have all the other trusts that go.
Generally, we're going to have one just revocable trust. There are different reasons to have others. So a separate property trust is also revocable and amendable. A separate property trust secures certain assets in a marriage as your separate property so that they're not commingled or eligible to others in certain situations. There are people that have irrevocable trusts for dynasty planning, irrevocable trusts for tax planning, irrevocable trusts for asset protection, charitable trusts, insurance trusts to receive insurance benefits. There are lots of different types of trusts that you can have depending on your life, your circumstances, and what your goals are.
Okay. I need to call you guys again. Okay. It's a lot of interesting things. So getting divorced, getting remarried, having all the stuff that happens in between, there's just things that you might have to look at in that situation, whether you act on whatever you do. You just, to be informed, to know what your options are, I think is the key to everything.
Yeah.
This is really, really good, you guys. Okay. So we decided, well, you told us, and I kind of already knew, that everybody needs a trust. If you own anything, you should have a trust. And then there's all the trusts, different kinds of trusts that can help you with tax planning, estate planning, all those kinds of things that are just there. We have business planning and businesses, LLCs, corporate veil, which means that if you don't follow all the rules with your LLC or your corporation, it's not there. It's not there anymore. It's now you, and you're getting sued, or it's all your stuff is up. It's kind of scary.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, you become personally liable.
It can be kind of icky. And if somebody's really, really looking hard, they really want it, they'll find it. They'll find it.
Yep.
How do people find you guys?
So online, so we have a really large online presence. So Tresp Day and Associates. Our website is trespday.com.
Okay.
You can find us very easily there. It has all of our information. You can submit inquiries, ask questions online, or all of our contact information. You can call us. We're always available and eager and honored to help anyone protect what they have.
Okay. They have papers on there. They have information about pretty much everything on their site. And it'll be in the show notes. It's TRESP day.com.
That's great.
So check it out. These guys are amazing. So don't hesitate to call. Don't let how much it's going to cost keep you from finding out information, because again, what you don't know is going to cost you something eventually. So figure out what it is that you need to know and get your stuff protected well. I really appreciate you guys coming. Thank you so much. Took us a while. Johnny, I don't know if did we say this on the air that you're going on your honeymoon next week? Congratulations.
Thank you.
I don't know if we said that.
Yeah. Yeah. Thank you so much. I'm really excited.
Congratulations. Congratulations. Elizabeth, it was really good to see you again. And hopefully we'll see each other again somewhere out in California where it's warm. I have a blanket around my legs. That's how I can sit out here in the cold.
Thank you so much for having us. This was such a pleasure.
Thank you. Thank you so much. You guys check them out, and I'll talk to you guys again soon. Bye.
You've been listening to Money with Mission. There are projects happening right now where you can have a great financial return while positively affecting the lives of others. To learn more about our opportunities, go to moneywithmission.com.